Okay, welcome to the CDR and Databricks interactive training session. On the screen, you will see two links that I will be pasting in the chat here shortly. You can navigate to those to view previous training sessions and upcoming training events and topics. On to our administrative announcements. Just so you know, this call is being recorded, but this session is meant to be collaborative and interactive. So you are more than welcome to use the breakout rooms throughout the session, and you will have a DNA team member in each breakout room to help assist you and answer your questions. If you do have questions, feel free to ask them verbally. You can also use the raise hand feature in Zoom or even drop your questions in the Zoom chat. And as mentioned, portions of this meeting will be recorded and made available in the CCSQ DNA portal. Just make sure to give us a few days to turn those around. And as always, leave your feedback at the end of the survey that we will be administering at the end of this call. But with that said, let me go ahead and stop screen sharing and hand it over to Oren.
Thank you, Laura. Let me share. All right, good afternoon. I hope you can see my screen. So the notebook has been put in the chat. So this afternoon, we are going to discuss SAS looping in Databricks. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to take some functionality that was done in SAS loops. We're going to show you, you're going to practice doing the stuff in Databricks. And it is lightly based off of the lunch and learn that Katie presented last week. And the link is in the notebook. In order to do this session, please clone this notebook and save it in your user folder. And there are instructions on how to do that right there. Make sure to clone. You're going to have to change the cluster to something you own. You can do that here. Just, detach it from my cluster, select a cluster that you own instead, and you should be good to go. As always, feel free to come off mute at any point, ask questions. We love questions. For this exercise, I am giving you the data frames. So what you're going to want to do is once you've cloned this notebook, you are going to want to run this command number 4. You'll want to hit this run cell. And that's going to create the data frame you use for exercise 1. So exercise 1 is going to use state count TDF. For exercise number 2, you're going to take DF cars, and it is created from CDR PSA community.cars. SAS users might recognize the cars file from SAS help.cars. And that is basically that file. If you want to see what it looks like, we do have a display so you can see there. And then for number 3, you're just going to run this code right here. And this is going to create a data frame called DF shoes, taken from SAS help.shoes. And it is going to look like this. And yeah, I see a few things in the chat. Absolutely. Let me put the notebook link back in. And yeah, that should be it. At about sometime between 12:35 and 12:40, we'll close the breakout rooms and we'll come back here for going over the exercises and how we can answer them. And yeah, that's what I've got for you. Good luck. If you need any help, please feel free to reach out.
I just opened the breakout rooms. So there's one breakout room that has code questions. So you can either choose to stay here or go to that breakout.
Excellent. Okay, it is 12:40. So how did this exercise go for people? Did people think the questions were good questions? Were people able to solve them? Anybody? Okay, let's get to sharing. Oops. Okay. So the first one was exercise 1. And we had 2 SAS macros kindly provided by Katie in her Lunch and Learn, where they're going to take data, they're going to partition data by states, they're going to sort the data by variables, it's going to print out a report. And then it's going to be nested inside within a second macro, it's going to generate reports for all states and VARs of interest. And the question we asked was, using the state county DF data frame created for exercise number 1, create PySpark code that creates a different report for each state. And this was one of the things in Katie's Lunch and Learn. So if you were at that Lunch and Learn and you remembered that, then this is probably a pretty easy one. You could just really get the code from there. But basically what we're doing is we're going to go to the PySpark that's SQL functions. We're going to use the column function. And then we're going to create a list of 3 states for all the states. And these are the states that are in the data frame. We're going to set the order as descending. And then for each state in this list, we're going to print a title. And that title is going to look something like this. And it's based on whether the state is, and it's based on that order. And then we use var1 as our variable. So it's going to use that. And then it's going to do a display. We're going to do, you can use the data frame, you're going to do a filter, and you're going to filter where the state is the same thing as the state. And then we're going to select the state, the county, and just var1. And you get something that looks like this. I did add in a 4th county, Jefferson, which is not in fact a county in Alaska. I just did that just to show that if you have 2 counties in there, it's not going to cause a problem as long as they're for the same state. And indeed, you can see we did both. There are no issues. So yeah, that is exercise number 1. Were there any questions about that one? Okay. For exercise number 2, what we did is we took a SAS data set called sashelp.cars. And basically it is about, it's a data set that talks about car information, has about 430 records. It's great as sample data if you're working in SAS. And anyway, we're taking that and then we are splitting that file into a number of smaller files. And the number of smaller files is defined by the user in the count variable. And then we're going to create a base name for these files that are going to be, the output files are going to be created. You're going to be able to put in your own prefix. And in the case that we have here, we use split underscore as that prefix. So basically it takes the data, it's going to split it into equal files with equal files. And that by equal, I mean they're getting the same amounts of records for as many files as you want. Okay. And here what we're doing is we're going to import this monotonically increasing ID. If you're familiar with SAS, you may have heard of monotonic. Basically, that just creates a row number. So basically, for each row, it's going to increment by 1. So yeah, so basically, if you have 100 rows, the 100th row would be 100. If you have 50, and then the 50th record would be have a value of 50. It just really gives you a row number. And what we did is we created a function, and this function is going to require a data frame. It's going to require an integer called endparts. It's going to tell you how many things you can split it into, and then it's going to output a list of data frames. And basically, the first thing we're doing is we're going to do a diff with ID. We're going to add a column to the data frame called row num that's going to have the row numbers. We're going to create a blank list called split dfs. And then for I in range endparts, we're going to take that integer you put in. We're going to say for what that's going to be the number of data frames you want. So as long as it's in there, we're going to do some division to split it up so it each goes into the right thing. And then based on that result of the what we're doing in df part, it's going to append it to a data frame. And you can see how it's used here. Here we're using split data frames into parts. We're putting in df cars as our input data frame. 5 is our number of things we want to, as the number of data frames we want to create. The output is going to go into df car parts. And you can see if you do df car parts 2, you can get a file and it's going to have 86 records in it. So that's how you can do that. And this is a function. So you could reuse this if I wanted to change it to 10. You could do that relatively simply. If I wanted to change the name of the input, I can do that really simply. This is code that can be definitely reused. Are there any questions about this one? All right. For exercise number 3, we had a SAS macro. It is going to summarize revenue for a data set based on parameters. It's going to put the result into a data set. And so what we're doing is we're taking a whole bunch of functions here just so we can do a number of different aggregations. And then we're going to create a function. And this function is going to require a data frame. It's going to require group calls. That's going to be how you group. It's going to be target call. That is the target. That's what you're going to use as you're going to be using as your aggregation. For example, in this case, sales. And then you're going to have your aggregation function. And that can be a different number of ones there. We have average, sum, count, min, mat, and max. And here we're doing average. So here we are defining the possible aggregations that we want. And here we are putting in result. We're creating a list like that. And then basically what we're going to do for each group call, we're going to do, first we're going to create a metric label that's going to make things look nice. So instead of looking all weird, it's going to look good, and it's going to be for that average sales. And then we're going to do some summaries, and we are going to group by the columns that we have. And that can be one thing, that can be two things. Whenever we're going to do a group call, and then we're going to aggregate based on that, we're going to round it so it looks nice. And then we are just going to, we'll do a select statement. We'll just select by that group column and by the metric column. And then we are going to take that summary DF and we are going to put it into that data frame, and that's going to be returned. And here's what we have, what you're doing right here. We do this. In this case, we are using DF shoes. That is our input data frame. We are using region and products as our fields to aggregate by. Sales is the field we want to aggregate on. And here is the aggregation function is average. Putting in the summaries, and this is what it looks like when we choose summaries and by region. And you can see this is what it looks like. And yeah, it looks relatively nice because we did it by, we used around, so that makes it look pretty. And you can see what it looks like. And yeah, that is exercise number 3. Are there any questions? Excellent. If there are no questions, I will stop sharing and hand it back to Laura. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Oren. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So before everyone drops, I'm gonna launch the survey. You all might have seen it before, but before you drop, just let us know how today's session went, ways we can improve. And then also if you are not seeing a training out in the portal that you would like our team to present on, do suggest that.
Laura, we just lost you. Hi, Natalie. Yes, thank you. We are going to put the notebook with the answers. That is going to be saved in the, we're going to put it into Code Commons, and we're also going to put it in the same area in CVR community where we have the questions. And that's just going to be located here. Let me get that for you. I can show that too. We're just going to go to CVR community, public, and user services, interactive sessions, 9, and we're going to save it there. And let me just grab the copy of the path for you so you have that. I can put it into the chat. So it'll be located in, it'll be put into that location. Absolutely. Yep, it looks like we lost War. So yeah, if you could just fill out the survey for us, we appreciate it. It really helps us a lot. And after that, you are free to drop. Thank you so much for coming today.
Lauren, this is Tracy. I have a question regarding because this time we are doing like splitting the tables or all those kind of things, and I think what we are doing here is like we are displaying the tables, but sometimes what we need maybe saving them as separate tables or even like further exporting them into Excels in um different sheets. So when we are trying to do that, it will be different ways, correct? What we are doing today are only able to like display them in separate tables, I suppose.
Yeah, so this would definitely be the first step if you wanted to
Okay.
take a file and
Yeah.
yeah, have save 5 files.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But once you had these files, you could just save them individually if you wanted, or you
Okay.
could create a function to take those 5 files and save them. You could add that.
Yeah. So because in SAS, sometimes when you are printing, you can actually print into Excel directly. If I'm using Python now, there like something similar to it, or I need to save the tables first and then like save it, like export it in the Excel sheets.
Yeah, so in SAS, you would do a proc export, right? When you
Yeah.
had your SAS file.
Yeah, but
Yes.
I can do below it like having proc reports and the output will be like export directly into Excel. Yeah, it's not really like saving it. It's more like the output be printed into the Excel. But I'm not sure like for Python, do I always need to like have the table saved, the output saved, and then yeah, export it.
Yeah, so you would definitely just need to create something. You could
Okay.
save it into a data frame if you wanted,
Okay.
and you could export that into Excel.
I see.
As for your questions,
Uh-huh.
we did I'm just trying to find the most recent thing, but we
Yeah.
did do a office hour
Uh-huh.
about how to send stuff to Excel. I'm just trying to get the link for you right now.
Okay, that's great.
Get that for you. Yeah, I'm gonna just throw that into the chat.
Great.
Yes, you can go to that folder. That was an office hour we did, and basically it talks about ways that you can take data frames, use them in Excel, and how you
Mhm.
can create custom reports in Excel from
Oh,
Databricks.
okay. Great. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys.